Good morning. We have discussed about the sampling in the previous lectures, right? So then you have idea about sampling is a representation. So then the process also we discussed. Sampling process comprises several stages, right? Uh, Define the population concern, right? So then specifying a sampling frame. So that means a set of items or events possible to measure, specifying a sample method for selecting items or events from the frame, right? So then determine the sample size, implementing the sampling plan, sampling and data collection, and reviewing the sampling process. So then you see this the figure. From this you can understand. So then this in the top of this figure, you see this is uh, normally we call it as a theoretical population. So then the theoretical population in the sense, who do you want to generalize to? So theoretical population means when you do a research, you collect the data and do the analysis, and finally you write report the findings. So when you are reporting the findings to right to whom you are going to generalize. Generalize means as a your finding can be generally applicable to the people. So then generally applicable to the people in the sense when we are really getting the representation of the people only, we can right generally apply to that people. So for example, we are doing a research in Jaffna University and we try to apply to the all the university students in Sri Lanka is in question because we don't get the representation from the other universities in Sri Lanka to study. Only we are getting the representation from Jaffna University to get the response. And with that response, when we do the analysis, when we are reporting the findings, it is not possible to generalize this finding to the other universities. Now you can understand. Only we are getting the representation from the Jaffna University. So then that representation, that research rights could be applicable to the Jaffna University, not to the other university, because we are getting the response from the Jaffna University students. So that's why theoretical population in that sense, do you want to generalize? So if you want to generalize the finding, so then we want to get the larger population where we can get the representation, and to that population only we can generalize the findings. Now you can understand that is the theoretical population. Then the study population, what population can you get access to? So for example, sometimes when we try to generalize the finding to the Sri Lankan universities, what we can do, we can collect some uh, the study population. So study population means actually we are going to study the particular population, right? Um, then sampling frame, how can you get access to them? The sampling frame means the list of the respondents in the right population where we can get the sample. So that's why there's a sampling frame. And then the sample actual who is in your study, that is the actual representation. Say, for example, here, as I said, the total theoretical population may be the Sri Lankan University. So then the study population means in the certified random or in the cluster sample, we can select as major universities in Sri Lanka representing all the right areas. Then we can go for a number of students we can select. We consider two as a sample, right? Consider means 250,000 students may be available, undergraduate students, but the study population, we cannot go for that. Sampling maybe we can go for. So then each university, we can stratify random on the cluster sampling, we can select to represent from the universities, then the manageable size. So that's why we finally consider 10,000 students from right from each university. So finally, we can collect the 500 samples. So that is a sample, right? So then this is a way normally selecting the sample. So now we can discuss about the population, right? Population. So then population means the um, entire group of individuals, right? Entire group of individuals or objects that you want to study, right? Entire group of individuals, right? Entire group of individuals or objects that you want to study or make a inferences about. Inferences means conclude about that groups or findings to that groups. So that's why the entire group of individuals or objects that you want to study or make an inferences. It is the entire group that your research question aims to address. So then population, normally when we are creating the research questions, the research questions always focus, right, to answer the entire uh, group. So that's why population is a whole, right? So all registered voters in country is a population. All trees in forest also, so sometimes they are going to do some research in the forest. The all trees in the forest is a population. All customers of a company is a population. All students in school district, all students in the university also population. Now you can understand entire groups. So then the key points. So it is ideal target for data collection, but it is often impractical or impossible to collect data from every member. So then, according to this and the definition, you can understand considering the entire group of individual, right, as a respondents, because the research person aims to answer to that individuals, that to entire right individuals in that group, but in practical it is impossible to get the response from all these individuals. As I said, to all the voters in Sri Lanka, it is impossible for the company to get the data from them. So that's why it is important to define the population precisely, that means accurately, to ensure the research results are applicable to the intended groups, right? So that's why it is important to define the population precisely to ensure the research results are applicable to the intended group. So then here you see the normally this notation for population is a capital N. So then this you see the ants in this circle is considered as the population, but the sample is a notation is small n representing right the square. So that means representing 9 ants. So then this entire population is all the ants in this circle considered as population. And the sample means the representation of some right members of that group. So that here, according to this example, that is the 9 ants, right? So then you see sample is a representation of the population. Right. So then we will discuss about the sampling frame. So the sampling frame, a list of accessible segment of the population from which a sample can be drawn, right? A list or accessible segment, a list of accessible segment of a population from which a sample can be drawn. It is practical starting point of selecting a sample. So that's why sampling frame means. So then we have a kind of the area. So that means then the area in the sense uh, the list. Simply we can say the list, right? All the individuals which you can access. So that's why accessible segment. Accessible segment based sample frame. So then a list of accessible segment of the population from which a sample can be drawn. So it is the practical starting point for selecting a sample. So it is the practical starting point for selecting a sample. So now you can understand even population means entire group of individuals. Sampling frame in the sense accessible segment of the population. Simple, you can differentiate the difference. You can differentiate the population from sampling frame. Population consists all the individuals. Sampling frame means accessible segment of that population. Right? It is the practical starting point for select because if we can access that segment only, we can collect the data from that segment. So that's why it is accessible segment of the population. Right? For example, a voter registration list. A voter registration list. So then the registration list consists all the name of the individuals registered and eligible for the voting, right? A map of trees in forest, right? Because forest may have a trees, but they may have a map of trees because already they some counted the trees and prepared the map. So then that map only we can access. So that's why that is a frame of that scenario. Then another one, customers may be all the customers are visiting to the company is considered as customers, but actually the sampling frame in the accessible customers means the company may if maintain the customer database, then the details of the customers in the database is considered as sampling frame because we are having the registered detail of the customer. So then using the detail to access that customer is easy. So that's why now you can understand customer database is a kind of accessible segment. So a list of students enrolled in school. So these are the some framework. Sometimes the India population also considered as a sampling frame. Now you can understand. If everyone can be accessed, then that is also sampling frame. No need to be a portion of the population. Sometimes India population also may be the sampling frame where all the respondents could be accessed. Now you can understand that the last example, a list of students enrolled in school means students in the school is considered as the population and all the students could be accessed because all the students are enrolled and the details of the students are available in the school. So then we can consider that India population may be the sampling frame as well, right? So then key points here, it is a subset of the population that is actually available for sample, right? It is a subset of the population. Subset of the population. As I said, it is a subset. Sometimes it's the entire population also considered as sampling frame. So also most of the time, it is a subset of the population that is actually available for sampling. So then another one, it is essential for sampling frame to accurately represent the population to avoid bias in the results. So then definitely the sampling frame should represent the population. Already we have discussed sampling also. The purpose of using the sample is to get the representation, right? So that's why essential for the sampling frame to accurately represent the population to avoid bias in the results, right? So it might not always perfectly match the population due to limitations in accessibility or data collection. So it may not always perfectly match the population because, as I said, if it is a school or a customer database or something else, maybe if it is accessible with the limited numbers, so then we can get the sampling frame. But as I said, for the very large population, like Anbi, so sometimes it is not possible to get uh, accessibility, right, perfectly. So the segment not always perfectly match the population. Match the population means not representing the population perfectly. because due to the accessibility of data collection methods, right? These are the key points related to that. Now we will discuss about the probability sampling, right? So the probability sampling, the main aspects of sampling, right, to go for a probability. Probability scheme is one is very unique. The population has a chance of being selected in the sample. So that's very important. You have to consider when you are using the sampling technique, right? You have to give the chance to have select everyone, every item in the sample, right? In the population. That means when we are using some sampling technique to select the sample, we have to give the equal opportunity to the people or elements in the population to be selected, right? To be selected. That means we cannot select based on the bias, or we cannot ignore. We cannot give a priority. So we have to give equal chance to the each and every element to be selected, right? And this probability can be accurately determined, right? And this probability can be accurately determined. So when every element in the population does have the same probability of selection, so now you can understand in a class there are 100 students available. We are going to select 20 students from that class. So then we are giving equal chance to the 100 students to be selected. We don't give any priority. Some volunteer students, some forward talking students, and socializing students. Right? It's like that. We don't give any priority. We are giving an equal chance to be selected, right? So to all 100 students. So when every element in the population does have the same probability of selection, this is known as an equal probability of selection, right? Equal probability of selection. So that's why we are giving equal chance to be selected to everyone in the population. Such designs are also referred to as self-weighting, because all sample units are given the same weight, right? We don't give any weightage. We don't give any priorities. We are giving an equal chance to be selected, right? So that's why there's no bias in the selection. So that's why you can see some probability selection methods. Probability sampling includes simple random sample. Simple random sample. Another one, systematic sampling. Another one, stratified random sampling. Another one is a cluster sampling and multi-stage sampling. These are some popular probability sampling techniques. Now you see the probability sampling. Simple random sampling we are giving, systematic sampling we are giving, stratified random sampling, cluster sampling, multi-stage sampling. So please pay attention when you are selecting the sampling, you have to give a priority to the probability sample. It may be a simple random sampling or systematic sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster sampling, or multi-stage sampling, because without bias, you are going to get the representation. In the scientific research, normally it is expected to use some probability sampling, right, to generalize the finding, because in the research is not a biased one, because they are selecting the samples based on the probability. So we will discuss later deeply this simple random sampling. Normally, sometimes people refer simple random sampling as a random sampling. Random means here and there they can pick without any a particular item in mind. They can select some responses or elements, right, randomly, but actually simple random sampling means using random table or computer program, right? So for example, in a class, if I want to select 5 students, what I can do, randomly I want to select random selection, I need the total population. Right? Simple random. In the class, there are 50 students. I want to select 5. So out of 50, randomly, if I want to select 5, right? If I ask you, sometimes you may think about here and there, you can pick 5 people. But actually, that is not a random. Scientifically, if it is random sampling, then we have to use a random table. That you all know that in the statistical table, random table also there. Or like a Excel, like softwares, we can create a random number. To create that, we should have a list of population. So all the sampling frames we should have right of the population. Right? Say for example, 100 students, we may have a 100 registration number. 1, 2, 3, 4 until 100. We have 100. We can collect random sampling. Say for example, like a lottery method, we can put all the 100 numbers in a sheet. 100 sheet we can put and in a bottle and check it, and we can take it that one right at a time, then another one at a time, another one at a time. Like that, 5 times we can get this 5 number. So then 5 numbers now we can say it is a probability sampling because we are given 100 right numbers in a bottle. We are giving an equal chance to be selected. Right? We are checking the bottle and taking a sheet and it represents 25. That means the 25th person is selected. Then 33, 33, 30, third person is selected. And 71, right? 71st person is selected. Like that. Uh, Now you can understand that, or otherwise, you can assign these uh, 100 in a random table, we can select a 5, then that may appear in that table, we can select. Otherwise, in the Excel, I will show you how to pick from 100. So that's why simple random sampling, if you are going to use a simple random sampling, we have to be very careful about. So we should have a list sampling frame so that all the members list we should have, right? From that only we can go for a random sample. Sometimes in marketing, people talk about random sampling, simple random sampling. We will discuss simple random sampling. Sometimes it's not possible because we are going to select customers, 100 customers. With 100 customers, how we can, because how many customers we have. So then the sampling frame we should have. So then from that sampling frame, we have to assign the number to all the customers. From that, we can select random. So then we can see what is simple random sampling. Simple random sampling applicable when the population is small, then only we can have that all the sampling frames, right? All the names we can have. And homogeneous and readily available, right? So then population is small, homogeneous, and readily available. So all subsets of the frame are given, right? All the subsets of the frame are given an equal probability. As I said, in the frame, we are giving all the elements to be selected. We are giving equal chance to be selected. So each element of the frame thus has an equal probability of selection. So it provides a greatest number of possible samples. Greatest number of possible samples. This is done by assigning a number to each unit in the sampling frame. Each unit, as I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, we can assign, right? So a table of random number, as I said, table of number, random number is available, or lottery system is used to determine which units are to be selected, right? So estimates are easy to calculate. Simple random sampling is always an equal probability selection. Equal probability of selection. Design, but not all EPS designs are simple random sampling, right? equal probability, all the equal probability of selection is not a simple random, as I said, because in a simple random, there are some characteristics for the simple random. Simple, the term may be simple, but actually that is not a simple process, right? That means if they are going to give an equal chance, then they have to list all the elements. From that element, they can select. So if sampling frame large, this method impractical. Impractical. As I said, for 100,000 customers for the company, then company selecting customers from the 100,000 may be difficult. So if all the 100,000 may be recorded and then the software they are having, then nowadays they can pick it randomly. That is possible. So minority of subgroups of interest in population may not be present in the sample in sufficient number for study. Say, for example, we can homogeneous, that's why the homogeneous representation of small group can be selected as a simple random, but with a diverse background, the heterogeneity, that means a different background, different features of the elements to be selected. Sometimes the minority people, right, or minority characters, minority elements may be ignored. So that's why this is another disadvantage, because we don't have any guarantee to select the minority people to represent, because we are giving equal chance. So equal chance, probability also there. The chance may be go for a majority of the students, the elements, right? So then we will discuss this simple random right selection from the next class. Thank you.